Welcome back. Today we are in Washington, D.C. at the Wharf. The Wharf is more than just a place where you can park million-dollar boats. It's a multi-billion with a B dollar location where you can have mixed-use development of all types. Over the years, the Wharf has seen a ton of new development. However, it still maintains some of its old charm, like the old fish market. So join me as I take a look at the Wharf so that we can explore exactly what it has to offer and help you understand what to expect. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Wharf both at daytime and at night, because if you come during the night, it's very different than if you're there during the day. And if you're there during the day in the morning versus in the evening, it's still very different places. The most challenging part about coming to the Wharf is that you will have to pay for parking. And it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be anywhere from $20 on up. There are many things about the Wharf that are different and that have changed, and change is still on the way. However, one thing that has remained the same is this historic seafood market. There is a whole lot of fresh fish at this seafood market, and many local DC residents come here to get crabs, especially for the holiday, as well as assortment of other fresh seafood. What a lot of people don't know is that the Maine Avenue Fish Market is the oldest continuously operated open-air fish market in the entire United States. What would a wharf in Washington, D.C. be without million-dollar yachts and boats that the average American could not afford? As you can see, we just shifted from day to night, and we are walking down the Wharf's main promenade. And the main promenade is absolutely beautiful. There are lots of beautiful colors. There are people who are walking, there are families, there are couples. I would say mostly couples, because there are lots of places to have dinner here along the Wharf. In fact, the primary retail establishment that you're going to find all throughout the Wharf is going to be restaurants. Now, there will be some places that you can get finger food. However, they are few and far between. The vast majority of these restaurants are sit-down restaurants. They're going to have outdoor seating space. In the wintertime, it's absolutely beautiful because they'll have fires and they'll have these warming pits. It's absolutely breathtaking to come down here after a long day of being at the museums. I can't think of a place in Washington, D.C. where somebody would rather be. If you ever find an opportunity to come to the Wharf, more than likely there'll be something going on. And the reason why is because there are hundreds of community events here every single year. Now, the majority of people who come to the Wharf after hours do so for really one reason, and that is to have dinner and then just simply walk around and just enjoy the ambiance of the environment. You're not actually allowed to ride a bike on the Wharf. However, if you're here in the early morning hours, no one is going to stop you. Now, here is an interesting fact you likely did not know about the Wharf. The men and women who helped John Wilkes Booth assassinate Abraham Lincoln were imprisoned and executed right at the very end of the Wharf, close to Fort McNair. There is a water taxi service that connects the Wharf to areas such as Georgetown, Alexandria, Virginia, the National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Visitors can also take a guided boat tour to view Washington attractions and monuments from the Potomac River. Now, you may be asking, is the Wharf suitable for young kids? And the answer to that is absolutely. There's oftentimes a pirate ship here, and I see people who actually tour the ships with kids and families, or they'll have events here on the pirate ship, but there are lots of kids who are here. Also, along with kids, it's pet friendly. Pets are allowed on the Wharf. They have to be on a leash, but you'll see plenty of folks, especially in the morning, with pets, and you also see people who are jogging with and exercising, but it is a very family-friendly, fun environment. Now, for those of you who are thinking of visiting and dining here, for the most part, it's a pretty upscale area. You're not going to find a lot. There are some chain restaurants here. Most of the things are going to be upscale. However, there are a few places that you can get an affordable bite to eat. The best way to get around is going to be the Shoe Leather Express. Most people love walking along the promenade. In the evening hours, riding a bike on this promenade is near impossible. However, there are bike locations that are right in front of the wharf. So if you are at a nearby hotel and you want to bike down here, you can bike it down here, use Capital Bike Share, check your bike in, and then go from there. Now, one of the nice things to do at the wharf is just to walk by and take a look at some of the boats. However, if you plan to dock a boat here, the docking fees are astronomical. We're looking at like maybe $50, $60 per hour. If you have a long-term boat that's here, it's still pretty expensive. You're looking at maybe $4 per foot per day. You know, it's going to be extremely expensive. The next question I want to answer is the wharf right for kids? Now, again, most of the things that you can do there is eat. However, they have a great promenade. Kids love that, watching the boat. They also enjoy that. They have the swing, water fountain. They have games that kids can play for absolutely free. And the reason why is because they want to attract the little ones to the wharf. So when mom and dad says we're going to the wharf, the kids are like, yay! So yes, if you think about bringing your kids, they're going to have a good time. Now, if you do bring kids, you should keep in mind that there are not a lot of open spaces. Also, sections of the pier are quite spacious. However, some do not have a guardrail. So especially at nighttime, they can easily fall into the water. Now, this seems a good a time as any to do a shameless plug for my channel. If you are looking for something that's fun and interesting to do in the DC metro area, I strongly suggest you take a look at my channel. And also, if you just like the content, the thing that you can do to help support me the most is simply hit the like button. That'll help other people find my channel. Now, if you are visiting from out of town and just want to get a general idea of where the wharf is, it's close to these items. They include the National Mall, the Holocaust Memorial Museum, the International Spy Museum, the Museum of the Bible, and the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing, just to give you an idea of where the wharf may be located. Many folks who are tourists to Washington feel that it is the perfect spot to spend the evening after a day of sightseeing in Washington, D.C. Now, if you are a couple, this is the perfect spot for you because you'll find, especially at nighttime, more couples there than probably any other place in Washington, D.C. It is a couples magnet. Now, here is a fun fact that you likely did not know about the wharf. Famous singer Marvin Gaye, he's arguably the DC's most illustrious non-political resident, and he lived in the neighborhood of the wharf when he was a child. Now, there is a nightclub that's not too far from the wharf. However, it doesn't have that nightclub type vibe. So when it comes to wild parties and maybe, violent young people, that's not the case at all. It has a very much chill, calm atmosphere. One thing that many people like about the wharf is that it has a great mix of public as well as private seating areas. So if you're at a restaurant, likely you're going to have a great view of the water and a relaxing place to eat. Also, if you just want to go there and walk around and just enjoy the space, there's also lots of public seating areas for you to enjoy that space as well. Now, you may recall I said earlier in the program that the number one thing that people did at the wharf was eat and drink. And I'm not kidding, there are over 4 dozen different restaurants and bars all along the 1-mile stretch of the wharf. A few restaurants are, but most are not open for breakfast. The majority are open for lunch as well as dinner. They have outdoor and indoor seating space. If you're there during the warmer months, it's absolutely beautiful and breathtaking to sit at these restaurants outside and have dinner with your loved one or family members. With so many restaurants to choose from, let's talk about how much your dinner is going to cost. Now, depending on the restaurant you go to, you can spend anywhere from $35 to $50 on up for your meal. Again, many of these restaurants are going to be upscale food establishments, so you can spend literally hundreds of dollars on your meal. The Wharf is a lot of things, but cheap and inexpensive isn't one of them. If you want to spend a night here, be prepared to spend anywhere from $450 to $4,000 per night. The million-dollar question I always like to answer at the end of every broadcast is coming here worth your time as well as your money? Let me break the question up into two parts. Is it worth your time? I would say absolutely. It's a beautiful place. It's eye candy. You will not regret coming here. Now, the second part of the question, is it worth your money? I think not. You know, if you're at a reasonable restaurant, and there are reasonable restaurants where you can get away with a meal for $30, $35, then yes, it's absolutely worth it. However, some of those higher priced restaurants or some of those higher priced hotel stays, absolutely not worth the money. There are better options available.